I'd also like to take this opportunity to personally apologize for the current political climate. I think that Veep has torn down the wall between comedy and politics. Our show started out as a political satire, but it now feels more like a sobering documentary. So I certainly do promise to rebuild that wall and make Mexico pay for it. Lastly, I'd like to dedicate this to my father, William Louis Dreyfus, who passed away on Friday. And I'm so glad that he liked Veep, because his opinion was the one that really mattered. Thank you.
That was Julia Louis-Dreyfus last night at the Emmy Awards. Such a moving moment. The big winners in last night's acting categories were Rami Malek for lead actor in a drama in USA's Mr. Robot. Tatiana Maslany won lead actress in a drama for Orphan Black. Jeffrey Tambor also took home a Golden Statue for lead actor in a comedy for Amazon's Transparent. And as you just saw, Julia Louis-Dreyfus won her 9th Emmy, winning lead actress in a comedy category for her role in Veep. And one of the biggest winners of the night was The People vs. O.J. Simpson. HBO's Veep won for Outstanding Comedy Series and Game of Thrones for Outstanding Drama. And diversity in television was a reoccurring theme in last night's show, with many winners using their platform to highlight the issue.
There's 17 million Asian Americans in this country, and there's 17 million Italian Americans. They have The Godfather, Goodfellas, Rocky, The Sopranos. We got Long Duck Dog, so we got a long way to go. Asian parents out there, if you could just do me a favor, if just a couple of you get your kids cameras instead of violins, we'll be all good.
I'm not going to say this beautifully, but to you people out there, you producers and you network owners and you agents and you creative sparks, please give transgender talent a chance. Give them audition. Give them their story. Do that. And also, one more thing. I would not be unhappy were I the last cisgender male to play a female transgender on television. We have work to do. I love you.
Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg and his wife, Dr. Priscilla Chan, are making good on their promise to give 99% of their Facebook shares to charity. The Chan-Zuckerberg initiative said yesterday that it would invest $3 billion over the next decade toward preventing, curing, or managing all diseases by the end of the century. Both Chan and Zuckerberg spoke yesterday, and Dr. Chan could not help but get emotional while presenting their next endeavor.
As a pediatrician, I have worked with families at their most difficult moments of their lives. From making a devastating diagnosis of leukemia to sharing with the family that we were unable to resuscitate their child. In those moments, and in many others, we are at the limit of what we understand about the human body and disease, the science behind medicine, the limit of our ability to alleviate suffering. We want to push back that boundary. By investing in science today, we hope to build a future in which all of our children can live long and rewarding lives.
Huge heart right there. Dr. Chan walked off stage to briefly grab a tissue and came back to finish her presentation.
Let's turn now to business and the big news when it comes to wages. The U.S. Census Bureau reports the biggest increase in household incomes in nearly 50 years. We also saw a big decline in the percentage of Americans living below the poverty line. CNBC's Nancy Hungerford joins us live from London. Nancy, what else can you tell us about these numbers and what you're following this morning?
Good morning, Lewis, and that is correct. Despite all the doom and gloom you hear on the campaign trail about the economy and the middle class, this data from the U.S. Census Bureau, as you point out, is showing that a median household income rose 5% from the previous year. That is the best increase on record since these records began in 1967, so that's good news. And also, when you talk about the Americans living in poverty, that rate has dropped to 8%. So again, this should be perceived as good news. But when you look at the overall employment picture in the U.S. as well, some are still saying there is more room to go.
Simone Biles not only is shattering records, she's also breaking hearts. After exchanging a series of tweets with him throughout the Olympics, she met her longtime crush, Zac Efron. The actor tweeting a photo surrounded by the final five, adding, "My Olympic dream came true." The love fest did not end there, with Biles soon tweeting a video of kissing Efron on the cheek, and then it was supposed to be a selfie. The heartthrob kissed her, with Biles nearly fainting. Dreams really, I guess, do come true for Simone Biles, and we want to congratulate the entire Final Five on their extraordinary accomplishments. Francis.
So cool. She's like 5 gold medals, Zac Efron kiss. Yeah. Life is good. Life is complete. She's done it all. All right. Thank you.
Let's turn to business now. Mylan CEO Heather Bresch testified before Congress's House Oversight and Government Reform Committee yesterday about the rapidly rising price of EpiPens. Ranking Democratic Committee member Elijah Cummings did not hold back in his opening remarks, shaming the rising cost of the drug and the executives he says benefited.
According to documents obtained by the committee, EpiPens generated $184 million in net sales revenue in 2008. $184 million. In 2016, listen to this. In 2016, Mylan expects this number to go up to more than 1.1 billion, as in B. After Mylan takes our punches, they'll fly back to their mansions in their private jets and laugh all the way to the bank. While our constituents suffer, file for bankruptcy, and watch their children get sicker or die.
And Chairman Jason Chaffetz pushed Bresch on her numbers, citing a difference in company revenue per pen in comparison to what consumers are paying for the drug.
Our revenue is the $274 per pen on average.
So that's the average number, and you just told me that the majority pay less than $50. So I'm trying to figure out, with the remainder, what are they paying?
But the cost to the patient is different than what we're receiving.
It just feels like you're not being candid and honest with Congress, who's asking you for some very basic information. And your attorney's over there scrambling, all uncomfortable. But you know what? We just want some basic information. You dug this hole for yourself. You guys dug this hole for yourself.
Will Smith was Jimmy Fallon's very first guest on The Tonight Show, and last night he felt like he really needed to make an entrance with his return. Smith was there to promote his new summer blockbuster Suicide Squad, and he wanted to do it big. And I think the third time was definitely the charm.
Please welcome the one, the only, Will Smith!
Suicide. You mess with me, you just committed suicide.
Yeah, that was good. That's a really good introduction. But I just like they seem excited. I think I can do it better. Will Smith. Well, no. I just think they deserve a little more than that. One more. I think I got it this time. One more. One more, Andrew? One more.
I think Joe, Mika, and Willie are going to ride in on a stallion this morning. No, I'm just kidding.
I want to get you up to date on the latest from Afghanistan now. An attack on American University in Kabul has left 13 people dead, says a local police chief, and also dozens more injured. The attack on the university, comprised mostly of American faculty and Afghan students, comes just 2 weeks after two staff members, an American and an Australian, were kidnapped. The Pentagon said yesterday that U.S. military advisors are on the ground with Afghan security forces at the university. No militant group has yet taken responsibility for the attack. Joining me now is MSNBC foreign correspondent Ayman Mohideen. And Ayman, as we look at this morning, the State Department has said that this attack on the university is an attack on the future of Afghanistan. Factor in there President Obama and just last month his announcement that he's once again pushing back his plan to withdraw U.S. troops.
Yeah, I mean, it's an indication really of how the security situation continues to worsen in Afghanistan. Look, the Obama administration back in 2014 announced that it wanted to begin to withdraw its forces and declared the end of major combat operations in Afghanistan. The hope was to try to reduce the thousands of U.S. soldiers there. They wanted to get that number to about 5,000 or so, about 5,400 by the end of 2016. That is not going to happen. The new reality is that the U.S. is going to keep about 9,000 soldiers during the end of this year, through this year, and at least certainly through the beginning of the next administration. It is going to be a challenge for whoever comes into office in January of 2017 to deal with that. But a big part of that has to do with the resurgence of the Taliban. They have taken over big parts of the country, particularly Helmand Province. Several districts of Helmand Province are now in the control of the Taliban. This as Afghan national forces, the army and security forces, continue to struggle with security, even in the capital. In the wake of this attack that we were talking about, the American University attack, there have been other incidents in recent weeks and recent months. You know, just several weeks ago, almost 15, I believe, Afghan security forces were killed in a brazen attack there, also near the U.S. Embassy compound in Kabul. So all of these small indicators that the security situation continues to worsen for the people of Afghanistan. And indirectly, Francis, that continues to fuel, along with the Syrian conflict, the refugee crisis that is unfolding in Europe.
Yeah, Ayman, talk a little bit about the symbolism here, this attack on American University, since it really was representing the future Americans were hoping for Afghanistan, so particularly even more of a hit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this attack is a symbolic attack. It is one that is targeting Western values, Western education. The American University in Afghanistan is the only co-ed university in that country. It is a it is a university that has been established, obviously, with American values in the American education system. It obviously bears the name American University, so it is highly symbolic for either the Taliban or ISIS to go after it, not just because of the fact that it has Western interests or Western values attached to it, but also because of the fact that it is in contravention to some of the values that the Taliban hold dear, which is no education for women, certainly no co-ed education between men and women in a campus like that. So it was a highly symbolic target against education, against Western interests in that country, and one that is meant to send a message.
All right, Ayman Mohideen, thank you so much for the perspective.